Hey guys, I have been exhausted. My other two kids um, have been back, so it's been so exhausting. Um, so that's why you haven't seen me streaming as much because I've been doing the mom thing. So okay. So we are getting ready to have a talk because I think I'm just gonna chime in my opinion on the situation. Everybody has their own opinion. Um, Hold on 1 second. Um, 1 second. Uh, but how's everybody been doing? I hope everybody has been okay. I know that I know it's been stressful for everybody, really. Um, so, okay. First thing I want to say is I feel like with the quarantine, I think when we were allowed to be a community and connecting with each other, I feel like um, the society was a little bit better than what it is right now. I feel like since we've all been separated from each other, it's kind of like we're not really able to connect. We're not able to sit down and have reasonable conversations. Um, Somebody would call me in the midst of a stream, right? Hold on. Literally, people. I hate when people do that. When they call you and then they call you and then they don't answer, they don't respond, and then you call them back and they don't have a fucking voicemail. I'm like, am I in that generation like that generation where if a nigga don't got a voicemail, I'll be like, like, don't fucking call me if you ain't got no voicemail because I don't know who you are, and I don't like to call people and be like, yeah, did you just call me? And they like, who you looking for? I'm like, I don't know because they didn't leave a voicemail, and I don't know who they wanted. but um, but yeah. So if you take like four people, for example, and they're always around each other or whatever, and they commune, then those four people could take four different perspectives and put the perspectives on the table and say, oh, I forgot I was in that menu, bro. See, I'm so cringe. Um, but those people can take those perspectives and hold on 1 second. Um, those people could take four different perspectives and offer them on the table. Um, and when they offer those four different perspectives on the table, now this could be, it could be race, it could be difference in upbringing, it could be difference in culture, it could be difference in spiritual beliefs, it could be just difference in gaming preference. You know, some people are retro only and have a problem with everything going forward. You know, some people are progressive and feel like retro is a thing of the past. Some people like the best of both worlds. Some people think that a gaming console should only be a gaming console and not a social media outlet. So some people have all these different perspectives, and when they put all those perspectives on the table, they're able to kind of have an understanding of each other's perspective. Even if they don't agree, they have learned by being in a community how to respect it. I feel like with everybody being isolated, hold on, this is getting irritating. Um, hold on. Hold on. But I'm an idiot. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm texting my landlord. So I was supposed to pay rent, right? Okay, PayPal. So he only uses Cash App. I use PayPal. So I have to send my money from PayPal to Cash App and from Cash App to him. I sent my money from PayPal to Chime and from Chime to nowhere. So it's just, I go to check my other card and it's just sitting on there and I'm like, what is this life? What is this life? The whole fucking time. Anyway, I'm sorry. So when you take those same four people that we were just talking about and you separate them and isolate them, then each person each person is allowed to sit in their own thoughts and their own thoughts and their own feelings, and it manifests and manifests and manifests, and it grows bigger and more in depth, and their only perspective and point of view is that of their own, meaning they're starting to lose the line of understanding, if that makes any sense. I'm gonna check the chat real quick to make sure the chat actually works. Krogan, I don't know if this is you. I think it is. If it is, can you type something? Let me go to YouTube. This is what I normally have my laptop on. Oh, nice one. Nice one. Okay, so, alright, so, in essence, so, going to my perspective on this Black Lives Matter thing. Now, granted, I have like literally heard, I've heard a lot of people um, bringing it up. Everybody's jumping on the train all the way down to Twitter. Um, everybody's on it. Everybody seems to have something to say about it. Now, I'm gonna just give my perspective of it, and I'm open to other people's perspectives. But this is my perspective as a 31-year-old African American female. Um, I was born in St. Louis and raised all over and spent all my adulthood on Cape Cod. Um, well, I actually spent my teenhood and adulthood on Cape Cod. And then I am now in Memphis. I have lived in Chicago. I have lived in near New York. I have lived in Atlanta, and I've lived in Marietta, and I've lived in Columbus, Georgia, and I've lived in Springfield, Illinois. I've lived in a lot of places. So I was homeless in Virginia once. Like, you know, so I've had my hard knocks. So Black Lives Matter. Most of the time, if you go to a prison and you talk to that of a black person and who killed another black person, and you say, bro, but Black Lives Matter, and he'll probably tell you, this life didn't matter to me. I don't think it's about the color. I think they deal with certain people differently. See, if you look at it like the police is somewhat of a gang to itself, then you'll understand how they decide to approach different cultures of people. People of Italian descent, people of Hispanic descent, people of Irish descent, people of just certain Muslim culture. They're all treated differently and has been since they came to America. Black people are treated different since they were brought to America. They may take a more aggressive approach with a black person, but that's because the Irish and the Italians, they had figured out how to systematically break down the government to make them respect them. We didn't figure that shit out. Look what happens. Something bad happens, and the first thing we kind of do is go tear up their neighborhood. Not really, but tear up our neighborhood, tear up our things, tear up our own black-owned businesses. This is what was happening in the 60s and in the 70s. Every time a riot broke down, they would go and kill their own black-owned businesses. They would, they would bring that violence against people, the wrong people, instead of turning it to, like, not turning it to the cops, but dealing with it systematically. Now, a person's going to say, well, but the justice system is flawed, so how can you beat the system? Well, the Irish and the Italians did it illegally. They figured out, like, hey, money is power. So in order to get respect, you got to have a little bit of both. So they're like, okay, we're going to start buying up some of these American businesses and making them pay us. We're going to start, they knew, okay, we need to start making them have to do business with us. Same thing Japan did. Same thing China did. Literally, America used to be like on the risk of having war with China. But you don't see nothing now because China got that respect because we had to, at some point, for some reason, borrow money from them. Money brings attention. And black people know that, but they don't know how to get that money to get that attention. So they use aggression. That's what most things, when it comes to money, they use aggression. It's a difference in how something is approached. If something's taken from us, we think, oh, I'm finna go, we don't think about suing a person. We think, I'm finna go beat your ass. You gonna learn today. you know? They don't think like, okay, I need to figure out how to not put myself in jail over this situation and still have an outcome. And so, yeah, like I'm sure they did. So here's where it differs. This is why everybody's on the Black Lives Matter thing, because when they approach African Americans, typically they use aggressiveness. It really isn't every day. Like, the frequency of cops killing black people is much more than typically what you would see of any other race. However, most of the time, it's like one or two black people in that group of white cops that did it. So one must ask themselves, is this a group mentality? Like a pack mentality? Is this something against human rights? Or is this something against black only rights? Me, myself, I believe our problem is with human rights. I feel like we need to get to a point where somebody says, hey, that man right there shouldn't be treated like that. Where if somebody's getting beat on the street, something's happening to anybody on the street, somebody will say, hey, what did that man do to make you do that to him? They won't say, hey, don't do that to that black man, would it be better if it was any other race? Would you not be outraged if it was any other culture, race? If it doesn't matter, then why should it matter? Should it have mattered if it was a white guy? There was, and how I kind of got this perspective was during something with Obama's campaign was going on. I was on Cape Cod at the time, and I was working for my client, and there was a situation in the news. Well, it didn't make the news because the situation with the boy, that got shot because the guy, he jumped on him, like he felt threatened, and he murdered him, So around that time, that boy was getting a lot of attention, to the point where other crimes were happening and it was not getting attention. Every day on the news, it was talking about that situation and covering that situation. Meanwhile, there was a white woman and her baby. Her baby was in one of those little bouncy seats, like a walker. And 3 black boys, young men, ran up in her house, and one of them put their gun in the baby's mouth and shot the baby in the head. And it did not make news at all. This is why I say we got to start taking the color out of this. Every situation that happens, we have to be like, well, what if the cop had his knee? Like, what if you were blind and you heard somebody yell out, hey, that cop has his knee in that man's back? And you're like, that should not be. Like, why would he do something like that? Somebody needs to call the cops. And then God gives you sight for some reason, and you find out it's a white guy. Would it make you disappointed that you were so supportive? Would it, yes, I do think Black Lives Matter, but I think I think humanity matters, and I think humanity is what's fading. I think I wouldn't be okay. I really wouldn't be okay if it was a white person that was being choked out by the police. And oftentimes when they come into the police station and they got black eyes and bruises, nobody documents that, and that's not a major story. You gotta understand, you got Jesse Jackson and these, they're media whores. They literally look only for these situations and they bank on it. They don't go for, I feel like if you can't march in my own city about the black on black crimes, then what the fuck are we marching about? Black lives matter. Black lives have to matter to black people first. The reason why people don't look at the kidnappings of black people as anything crazy anymore is because when you walk outside your door, you see all these mamas that's rolling up blunts, doing what they do, you know, fucking a nigga or whatever, and let they fucking like 4-year-old, 5-year-old be outside and they be like, oh, you know, I know the neighbors, they watching. It's like, no, they're fucking not. And then it's like when your kid gets kidnapped, yeah, no, and they do receive it disproportionately, but you got to consider that, and this is where I'm at, is, yeah, even though the cops are more aggressive, nobody has killed more black people than black people. I'm looking at a society where in the rap songs, they talk about doing nothing but killing their own kind. Like, it's like, I'm gonna just be honest with you. When I'm walking down the street and there's a group of black boys behind me, young teenage black boys, I'm not afraid that, you know, they're gonna sue me. I'm afraid they're gonna rob me. I'm afraid they're gonna rape me. I'm afraid they're gonna feel the need to prove that they're tough to whatever they're in and kill me. I don't, like, you know, like, I think that black people are a little bit in denial of how they feel about their own race and their own culture. When we ride through certain neighborhoods, we like, hey, make sure you lock that door, you know, where you at, you know, like, make sure you keep a lookout, you know where you at. And the first thing that they'll say is, oh, well, you know, it's directly because of white people. Now, granted, I should, like, be on that other side because, like, I'm looking at, like, it's no mystery, my ex is with a white woman and he dumped his whole family because of it. But I look at it like he dumped his whole family because of it. She was a 19-year-old white girl. He could have easily decided against it. It ain't like she put a gun in his mouth. He chose to put those chains on. So it's one of those things where, yes, there is more aggression towards us, but we're more aggressive to ourselves. And it's an unpopular subject. Not a lot of people agree with my perspective of it, but my son is going to be going to MLK, and by the way, Martin Luther King Street in every fucking city is garbage. It's the worst street in the fucking city, damn near. And they keep naming all the prep schools after MLK. Now that, I think, is something that they do on purpose. He will be going to MLK, and it's a prep school, and I'm afraid. You know, when I sent my son to school, there was a boy that was gunned down. My ex, he was getting off work one time, and he was at the corner store. He was leaving out the corner store, and some black young kids who actually go to MLK shot down another kid who goes to MLK and killed this child right here as he was coming out. He hurried up and got into his cousin's car and rode home, and he was so shooken about that because he knew the people who did it. we don't march in our own. No, I've never seen anybody march in Memphis about the violence. There was a grandmother who was shot up. Maybe they shot her shit up with an AK-47. There was like over 50 bullets in her truck, and it killed her. And the person, also African American, said, I ain't mean to hit her, but I meant to, I was really trying to get the little boy. And the little boy was like 8 years old, maybe less. He was a little kid. And it was because of some rival gang dispute. But he was like, hey, anybody can get it though. He looked at it like mission accomplished. When will our lives matter to us is the real question. You know, we're the same ones who, when we do a crime to another black person, we want to get off, right? Well, the justice system that lets us off, hey, what's up, Xavier? The same justice system that lets us off is going to let the next person off. So, in so many words, I know, right? I know. My kids have been back, so I've been busy, and I haven't been streaming as much. That's why. So our lives have to. Our lives have to matter to us, and our lives are not. It's not mattering to us, you know. We go through these things, and nobody marches for that. Jesse Jackson marches for equality, but he doesn't march against black on black crime. I find that a problem. You want equality, that means you march on both sides. I feel like if there was basic human rights, we should have been covered all the way through. That means if you go all the way back to when women couldn't vote, that means if she go up to the booth and they say, well, ma'am, you can't vote, somebody is going to come up and say, hey, why can't this person vote? Not why can't this woman vote? Just why can't this person vote? She, you know, that's American, but it's kind of like that's not what happened. So every time you ignore it and minimize it and put it only on the smallest form, which is race, culture, religion, beliefs, when you put it just on that, it's like you're just picking away at the tip, like the chipping off of an iceberg. You're not going to hit where you're trying to hit. Now what's going to happen is there are going to be a lot of videos that's going to start surfacing about police brutality towards white people. The funny thing is white people don't like to film police brutality towards themselves because they know it doesn't matter. They look at it like cops are assholes. You know? I think to fix this situation, parents are going to have to be more hands-on. We can't keep letting this, which is a phone, and this raise our kids. We can't keep letting the media raise our kids. We need to be more hands-on with our kids. Be in the know, you know. I talk to my kids all the time, and even when they are playing on their phones or whatever, my daughter, she likes to play advocate. Even when she plays that, I'm in that too. Not so that I could spy on her. You know, sometimes if I feel that she's lonely, I'll join her session and just spend time with her that way. I'll pester her, you know, gift her stuff when she wants it sometimes. If she's having issues with her friends, I use that app to give her advice that I may not get a chance to give her when she gets out in the world and starts really, you know, I'm practicing. This is a good practice, you know. It's teaching me to not be overbearing with my opinions and to listen to her perspective on things and to not so much keep correcting it, but guiding it, meaning it's going to free flow and you just make sure it doesn't go off the rails. We parents as a whole of any culture, of any race, has to be more in tune with our kids. so that when they're coming up, humanity will matter. They won't become so self-righteous to the point where they think everything is about me. You know, if I ain't hurting, then it don't matter. Um, of course, people are going to think, well, what happened to that dude was absolutely wrong. No shit, you know. When you graduate kindergarten, is that really, you know what I mean? If you put in the skill, the work, was it really a surprise? No, of course it's wrong, you know. 2 plus 2, 4. The thing we're kind of looking at here is not so much whether it was right or wrong. It's that a man was murdered. We need to start using the term murdered when cops murder people instead of using there was an incident, a man died, a black man died, a white man died, anybody died due to, you know, they use certain words. They'll never say a man was murdered today by 2 cops, you know. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We can definitely play Dead by Daylight sometime. Yeah. So that's why I don't like to say the all lives matter thing. That's a given. It's humanity. You know, some people, you gotta understand, it's a difference between your life and humanity. Lives matter. You know what happens when you say all lives matter? It's going to start to be broken down into denominations, creed. This is what we do. We literally section things off. Once we say generically all lives matter, then we start to be like, well, certain classes matter, and then certain races matter, certain races in those categories. Think of it this way: when it was homosexuality, people said, oh, you know, gay people matter. Okay, from those gay people sprouted transgenders, and from that, then the gay people were like, hold up, you ain't want to, no, see, we said gay lives matter, and you're transgender, and your life doesn't matter. And then from the transgender came like something else. So you see where I'm going with this, where if you do the generic all of something matters, then when something dynamic happens, or I use the wrong word, something to change the dynamic of something happens, and you don't fit into that mold anymore, then what? When they last time they said all lives matter, they were using it to say about abortions, and then guess what they did? They broke apart and said, oh, yeah, but the fetus ain't really a baby until like 3 months. So all lives matter until like, but not before you're 3 months. You see how, like, if you use something generic, you're gonna get a lot of subcategories, you know. But if you say humanity matters, that covers everything. That covers us. I mean, it don't cover your cat and your dog, granted, but it covers all of us, meaning, hey, that man over there should not be just getting hit on. Okay, this is a good example. On my Twitter, there was an argument going on over the Black Lives Matter thing. The one group is saying, like, one guy was saying, hey, you know, all this brutality is happening to us, our lives matter, blah, blah, blah. The other guy is saying, hey, you know, most of the people in the video that you posted was resisting arrest, so they got what they deserved. Now, they started to argue back and forth, and then the name calling was happening. So I come and I'm like, hey, you know, may I chime in? You know, I asked if I could enter the conversation, and then I gave my opinion on it. I said, if you have a child and you spank your child, that doesn't make you a bad parent. That is a form of discipline. But the minute that you have to use your fist or your foot, you need help. You have to stop. This coming from a childhood where abuse was a part of my upbringing. As a lot of children in general, I don't know. We make jokes. Listen, black people, we make jokes. Um, we make jokes about how, you know, black people get their ass beat when they're kids, and white people just get to cuss at their family and get away with shit. Uh, it's not really that simple. It's not really it's not really that simple at all. What it is white people say, hey, you have this line that you're not to cross. Okay, this line is where we don't cross. I may let you curse. That's within the line if I want to. We may be a family where cursing is open, but certain curse words you're not allowed to use. I may let you, you know, when I'm talking to you, it may be a back and forth because I'm trying to reason with you. I'm trying to use rationality with you. But there was a lot of abuse that happened in white homes. There's a lot of ass whoopings that happens in white homes, truth be told. They're not immune to whooping their kids' ass. You know, it's a lot of little white kids that be having them little pink welt marks on their ass when they come into the daycare. It's not a cultural thing. It's not like white people don't whoop their kids. And then black people say, well, white people or white kids are more supported than black kids. That's a parental issue then. You know, the problem with black people is we don't want the kids. And then we're like, ugh, when you turn 18, when you turn 16, you're not my problem anymore. So we raise them until they turn 16 or 18. And then we're like, hey, whatever you do. And so they go get boyfriends, they go shack up, they go move out because they're like, this must be the tip of my life right now. White people look a little bit beyond that sometimes, from what I have witnessed. If you go to Cape Cod, I could assure you of three things. If you're a high schooler, your parents are going to pay for your driving lessons. Your parents might be responsible for your college tuition. You're going to need your parents' tax information when you try to get financial aid. I can assure you of that. That's black and white culture. The rule's the same for everybody. Like, I know what they're going to do because they do it. Most of the kids don't buy their first car. So then someone would say, I'm just saying because I've heard it said, someone would say, oh, well, you know, we can't afford. Can we not afford? Can we not afford? I have spent about $500 or $600 on Dead by Daylight by itself. That could have been put towards my kids' future. I'm honest about that. All the games that I have bought through the years could have been put into a savings account, which could get some sort of percentage where it just keeps building on itself. And who knows how much money I would have had by now. In the previous generations before mine, that's what they were doing. They were like, hey, I could die any day. Let me leave something for you, because we don't know. Nothing is given. We don't know what tomorrow might bring. This generation is different, you know. Back in the day, a lot of parents, like a lot of fathers, was made to give up their hobbies when they became family men. That was always the joke of why you shouldn't get married and why you shouldn't have kids, because they were forced to give it up to take care of their family, because the wife is like, hey, you ain't got time for that no more, and I got these little fuckers too, so I ain't got time for this shit no more. This generation, we're still trying. I'm playing games with my son. We're trying to live our youth with our youth, if that makes any sense. And when you do that, it costs more money, because the money that you could be putting away for them, you're using from them to be with them, if that makes sense. So, in essence, we have to start being more hands-on with our kids. We have to start admitting that We don't make the best decisions financially. We're not interested. Back in the day, it was kind of like, you know, it was taboo for certain cultures and people of any kind to be owning businesses in certain places. So guess what? They fought harder for that cause because that was something that was taboo to them. Now, you have a situation where, like, at my kids' school, at Westside Middle, my son, he was in band, and his band teacher was a female. And she was very temperamental. If she was having a bad day, you didn't do band that day. If the kids pissed her off, then okay, we just gonna take shortcuts because I'm tired of y'all. That person that's like, hey, you guys are gonna step to the fucking line. I don't give a damn if it kills me. That person, that teacher is gone. They're burnt out. They were underpaid for years. In Georgia, in Columbus, Georgia, there was a bus driver that had been when she started working for the school, she was making $2 something an hour. She graduated up to $5 something an hour. They're underpaid, overworked. So with the cops, sometimes, have you ever gone to the DMV? I know everybody's pretty much gone to the DMV, except for like if you're underage, maybe you wouldn't have went to the DMV. But if you go to the DMV, those people are, the people at the DMV could be rude. They're assholes. Generically, you know they're finna be assholes. You're like, ugh. I hate going to the DMV. As you get up there, they tell you all the things you're gonna need and all the shit you know. They don't try to work with what you brought. They say, and these are the rules, and everything kind of goes blank for a while, and you get so fucking mad and you want to curse them out, and you have to literally kill a part of yourself to walk away from the fucking desk at the DMV. That's what it's like to be a cop. The only way I could tell you this is because Burger King, McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, I have worked all three. I love eating there, but I hated working there. It will kill something inside of you if it wasn't already dead. What I mean by that is, it kind of makes you think racistly, right? That's not a word. But it gives you some form of prejudice, you know, for the classes. So when I'm ordering from McDonald's or Burger King, right, you think inside your head, you probably barely have a fucking high school education. How hard is it to put my fucking order in the bag? Because when you don't put my order in the bag and I ordered $40 worth of food and they gave me one Whopper meal. And I was so fucking pissed. I was ready to cuss them out. I was just like, you got me all fucked up. Then on top of that, they closed. They said, nah, we're closed. They cut their lights out. You wasn't getting your food. I'm like, what the fuck? We finna riot over this? Excuse me, Black Lives Matter. My meal matters. What the fuck? Like, I was so fucking mad. But then I had to remember when I was working at Burger King, looking at that fucking timer above the drive-thru window, and the moment somebody pull in, you got 2 minutes and 12 seconds to take their order, deliver their order, and get them the fuck out of your line, or next quarter somebody's getting fired, and it ain't finna be the manager first. And so I've had situations where, you know, person will pull up and I'm working, it's 2 drive-thrus, so I'm working both of them, and the person says, oh, what's taking this bitch so long? And I was like, this bitch will be right with you, give me 1 second. And then, you know, he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. You know, I didn't look at it like, oh, he said that against me because I'm a black person. Like, no, I understand. I understood when you're sitting at the drive-thru, you have no idea what's going on inside the building. So yes, you're going to instantly think, like, in your mind, we're just standing there waiting for you to take your order. But in reality, we're doing multiple things. We're working multiple shits, you know? Like, sometimes, you know, you're the fry cook and you're also running back and forth trying to take orders. Sometimes they're low staff. Sometimes people call and be like, bitch, I ain't coming in today. I just got my tax check. And you're like, okay, where was their station at? Okay, let me think of how we're gonna do this. We're short staffed. We call people and they be like, taxes just came out, I can't come in. You know, dead as tax season is the worst season for everybody. For everybody. Everybody calls out and nobody wants to come in. Especially on their day off. That place is the last place they want to fucking see because they don't get paid enough. And they don't want to be yelled at all day. There was times when I was at the drive. Now, from the inside of the building, what he didn't see is I'm manning 2 stations, and my responsibility is to stand at the front where the fries and shit is and to pack the orders. So when it's confusing, because if somebody's telling you their order in your ear and you're packing, you may accidentally fuck up and start packing their shit, but they're not the driver that's at the fucking window right now. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying with that. So then you done fucked up and made the person behind them's order, and the person at the window now is still waiting for their shit. So then your boss is gonna say, hey, tell them to move the fuck up. What the fuck are you doing? And then they're like, shit, you know. Okay, so you go and tell them, hey, can you please move up? And they're looking at you like, bitch, how hard is it? I just seen you make my fucking order. Why can't you give me my shit? And they don't understand. You know, well, now your shit's missing pieces of shit, but I gotta do the other guys first. Like, his shit could literally be missing just a fry. But because I made his shit first, and he knows that's his shit, he's thinking, why can't you just give me my shit? And he forgets that, like, you know, you gotta do the other person. So, it's like, that's what's happening from the inside. I used to get screamed at, bro. Like, I'd be like, you know, I would be working like 5 hours. 5 hours and working in a restaurant is like 10 hours anywhere else. And they would be like, you know, I'd be like, hey, I gotta use the bathroom. And they're like, no, you better not fucking leave that position. You better go over there to the fucking window. Don't fucking move from the window. Like, they curse you the fuck out. And in the back of your mind, as a normal individual, you're thinking, oh, I would have cussed them the fuck back out. But it was a little hard to make that decision when at the time I was homeless on Cape Cod. I didn't have a place to stay. I was staying in some rundown motel, and the rundown motel cost $290 a week plus tax. So it was pretty fucking expensive. I couldn't afford to say fuck you, fuck this job. But you know what? I did do it. I did do it later down the line. Down the line, literally, I just pretended I had diarrhea until I fucking quit. Like, they were like, it was like 4 in the morning, and that particular morning, it was fucking ice cold. There was snow above my door, and like, it was like a blizzard or something going on, and there was snow. The snow got stacked above my fucking door that I need to get out of, and meanwhile the only other option is to go to the back door, but the back door has stairs, and that is completely piled of snow. I'm 5'3", so I think, you know, I can't get through that shit. If I fall in it and I can't get myself out of it, I can die. I know people don't think that's a problem. Who the fuck's throwing bombs outside? But anyway, I know people don't think that's a problem, but it is a problem. Like, it is if you're on Cape Cod. Like, I literally have photos where the snow is standing higher, much higher than I am. It's really bad. There was one day where you get 14 inches of snow, another day where you get 12 inches of snow, and this is back to back. It was like really bad. So I'm just sitting there, and my body's tired. I finally had got an apartment. My body was tired. I'm tired mentally. I'm just like, you know what? I would like to just spend one fucking day in my fucking apartment in peace. Like, without smelling like fucking fries and fucking parm and chicken and burgers. You know, like, I just want to lay here. So I laid there. And they called me about 5:30. My manager was Mike at the time, and Mike is hilarious, bro. Mike is white, but Mike is the blackest person, bro. Like, he was just like, hey, yo, nigga, where you at? Like, I was just like, uh, I got aggravated diarrhea. I can't even move. He started laughing. He's like, bruh. He was like, bro. He was like, all right, I'm gonna have somebody come in, man, because I don't know how long you're gonna be on that. So he had somebody come in, and then another manager came in, and she was the one that's always yelling, screaming, and cursing at me. And she, you know, that bitch had the nerve to get fired like literally 2 years later because she was still not the registrar all this time and getting all the new people fired. Ain't that a bitch? But anyway, she had the audacity to call me talking about some, how much longer? I'm like, it's still coming. I'm like, it's still coming out. I don't know. I don't know how much longer. It's still coming out. I'm still working on it. She was just like, all right, well, let us know. I'm like, yeah, okay. That particular day, I only had a 4-hour shift. I don't know why I just laid there. I was just like tired, bro. I was like, I'm tired. I don't want to work here. I'm just going to have aggravated diarrhea until this job is over with. So then she was like, she called me again. She's like, Miss Parks, how much longer? Because in a minute you're not gonna have a job. I'm like, you finna fire me while I'm on the toilet? She was like, you ain't giving me much of a choice because your ass ain't here, and it ain't that much shit in the world. I'm like, I got aggravated diarrhea. She was like, yeah, you are full of shit. I was like, yeah, well, I quit. She was like, you're not quitting. I'm like, but I am. She's like, no, you're not. I'm firing you. I'm like, oh, okay. So then the dumb bitch, when she fired me, bro, when she fired me, I'm thinking to myself, by you firing me, what was the difference between me quitting? You just felt like you wanted to have that upper hand. Like, you just wanted to be able to say, I fired that bitch. You didn't want to be able to say, like, oh, she quit with her aggravated diarrhea. Like, I don't fucking know. I don't know. I just think it's a hierarchy thing. Like, no, you don't quit. I fire you because I'm the boss and I'm in control. And it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. Same difference. I'm still not coming in. I'm still gonna sit right here on my bed. And I was playing the Xbox and I was enjoying the fuck out of myself. I was playing Gears of War, and I was like, right, like, she didn't add that shit together, right? So what I did was I had texted her and I was like, hey, it's unfortunate that I'm being fired over my aggravated diarrhea. I was like, I was gonna go to the hospital, but the thing is, I can't hold it. So that makes my situation difficult, but as soon as I'm able to hold it, I will go to the hospital. And so I went to the hospital. I waited like 12 hours, and I went at night when I had absolutely nothing else to do. And now, granted, keep in mind, I was like 21 or 22. This is a complete waste of resources, bro. That time that I went to the hospital could have went to somebody who really was sick. I don't recommend nobody doing this shit. This is just an example of me fucking with the system when the system fucks with me. I got tired of it, so I go to the hospital. And they didn't even check me. They was like, oh, you probably just have a stomach virus, so we'll write something out. So I ended up being able to, they couldn't fight me with unemployment because my text message is pleasant and it says, hey, I'm sorry, it's unfortunate. And then it doesn't help that after I said, it's unfortunate that you would fire me over aggravated diarrhea, but I'll go to the hospital, blah, blah, blah. After I said that, she says, go fuck yourself. And I had the Chester grin, bro. Like, you could have slit my mouth right here and my grin wasn't bigger. Like, I was grinning so hard. I was just like, this is so fucking hilarious, bro. Like, this is gonna be fucking funny. Um, it was just like, I felt like it was one of those anime moments when they're like, go fuck yourself, and you're like, no, you go fuck yourself. And then my hair went pee, and then like, I don't know, I had some crazy aura shit going on around me, and then I got like a 6-pack out of nowhere. My hair turned blonde. I was like, I don't know. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. How the fuck did we get to there? Okay. Anyway, so I guess going all the way back to my original subject, humanity has to matter, bro. Like, we have to find healthier ways to fight the system. We're the ones who supported it and created it. I said the same thing about the O.J. Simpson thing. Me and my mom, we talked about this recently. I was like, we brought up the O.J. Simpson thing, and she was like, yeah, she said, so many of us wanted him to win, not because we knew he did it, but we wanted him to win because we just wanted one of us to get through. One of us. But even as a kid, back in the day, I thought to myself, that's wrong. He murdered her, right? And I used to hear all these adults saying, yeah, he did it. And I was like, why do you want him to get off again? And they'd be like, because one of us gotta win. I'm like, you want him to win? But he did it, right? And they're like, yeah. And I think a child has the most purest form of justice. Adults, we get turned out. We forget, where we started. Why would we want him to get that justice? What did that do for us? Rodney King, I'm gonna be honest with you, he got his ass beat, bro. They was damn near playing hopscotch on this nigga's head, okay? But what did he do with the money? Let us find out for a second. Hold on. 1 second. Let's see if we can't find out what Rodney King decided to do with his money. Rodney King settled for $3.8 million. And all of it had disappeared by the time his fiance had found him dead. And he died from alcohol intoxication. And what did he do with his $3.8 million? Drugs, alcohol, parties, living up the good life. So that's why I say, when you say Black Lives Matter, you're chipping away at a pretty small ass piece of this big ass block. Yeah, okay, that Black Lives Matter. Everybody stood up for that, and he got money, enough money to change so many people's lives. Let's see how many lives we could change. Now, I'm not saying give out money. I'm not saying that. Let's just, by example here. Divided by. Now, $3 million divided by 2,000 is 1,500. That means that 1,500, he could have, like, 1,500 people could have had stimulus packages. But no, he could have gave back to his society by creating something that we needed. If I had 3 million, I can already tell you off the rip, I'm gonna get a lot of games. I'm not, I know, I'm not the best with that. I would definitely get a lot of games. But all bullshit aside, the shit I would do to etch in stone, I would be able to go back to college for something that is going to help me get into my own business. And I'm gonna make sure it's a business that I can train my kids into. Something that I could pass them down. I'm going to put money away for their schooling. I'm going to take them to the bank. That's what we're doing. As a matter of fact, we're doing that this year. This year, I'm going to be taking all my kids to a bank just so the bank person, representative, whatever, could talk to them about what it is to own a bank account. Explain to them about equity. Explain to them about assets. Explain to them about just all these things that children are growing up not understanding. Children are growing up with cards. Children are growing up with cards, bro. Cards don't teach you shit about how to manage your money, how to make money on your money. That being said, they don't really appreciate the value of money. This debate was had on Facebook, where I said there was a credit card company advertising that now you can give your children a credit card. And I'm like, ain't all these grandparents? Damn to yourself. They keep trying to be progressive that they're not thinking. They talk about some, well, it would be convenient, and my kid can't even keep up with money, so they should get a card. I'm like, excuse me, but if they can't keep up with money, they don't need a card, bro. I came from like a generation where if you couldn't keep up with the fucking door key, it affected everything. If I couldn't keep up with a door key, my dad was like, oh, you can't keep up with no video game. I ain't got money to blow. Oh, you can't keep up with no lip gloss. Like, granted, they probably was definitely using it as an excuse to not get me shit. But it definitely, I tell you what, I still got the key from when I was 12. I still have the key and the other keys on it. The mailbox key. I got all my keys from when I was 12. Cause I wanted new games, bro. I was getting one game a summer, and that was contingent already on my grades. Now it's on whether I can keep up with shit. And no. This society is giving kids so many issues. When my dad brought my daughter back, he's just like, oh, she has, her attention span is low, and she has comprehension issues and all this. And I was just throwing this shit out like, what are you saying? Like, no. Granted, there is shit you can't beat out your kids. I can't beat knowledge into her, and I can't beat the sense out of her. If she doesn't, I'm not gonna put her on drugs. I'm not gonna say she's got ADD. I'm not gonna say that she has attention deficit, or she has problems with comprehension. No, she could prende. You know how you could find somebody that can comprehend pretty well? If every time something is happening to you, you understand, but when you do it to somebody else, you don't understand, you don't have no comprehension issues. You have issues with your heart, with being nice to somebody, with empathy. You have those issues. Like, you ain't got no issues with, comprehending, whether it's like comprehending, like when you tell her no to something and she does it anyway, he thinks, oh, that's comprehension. No, that's a behavioral issue. And what I can't raise into her, what I can't teach her, I'm going to let the world teach her. She will figure this out. When I tell her, hey, you can't just run around hitting boys and expect them not to hit you back, well, I've already did my part. I have told her, I have reprimanded her over it, I have punished her over it. Now, if she continues to do it to somebody outside the house and they deck her one, I'm not going to be the one calling the police. Granted, I'm going to say, hey, it's wrong to hit a female, but it's even more wrong for a female to put herself in a man's place. That's the rules I came up with. Is like, you know, in my relationship, I'm not gonna go hitting no man. I'm not gonna call him bitches, motherfuckers. I'm not gonna call him out his name, because then when we argue, I want it to be foreign for him to call me out mine. Meaning, if I don't call you out yours, and then all of a sudden we get into an argument, and then I'm all kind of bitches, that should make you uncomfortable to say, because I never come to you that way. That being said, now granted, it's different versions of bitches, you know. I'd be like, bitch, please, come on now. Like, that's different. But being like, no, you stupid bitch, like, blah, 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 that's different. So, but either one, I don't do that. So, I don't be wanting nobody to do it to me, so I don't do it to them. And when you have that mutual respect, then what can fail you? We gotta stop giving excuses for stupidity and the lack of common sense, and we have to start making people responsible for their actions. And that's the issue that we're really having with everybody. You know, yeah, the cops, when they committed that crime, when that man took his last breath, they should have been, like, if you clearly have looked back over, they should have been arrested. Somebody's shooting bombs outside, bro. They should have been arrested until further notice, because it is video footage, it's everything showing that they were the individuals involved. So they should have been arrested, because this is what you should do if anybody else did it. If you know, I'm trying to think. If you have a situation where, for example, this is funny to me. Y'all probably won't think it's, but it's funny to me. So you know how everybody's on edge about the coronavirus thing, and how people are actually becoming aggressive over it, meaning, Lord forbid, you have allergies in this season and you sneeze or you cough. They're ready to hit you, fight you. You know, they act like they're fighting for their life. These are the same people that will roll a blunt with somebody, roll it up, put it in their mouth, pull it out. It don't air dry long enough. Pass it to somebody. They light it or whatever, and everybody's smoking together. Same fucking people. I'm like, so let me get this straight. Corona has not killed more people. Once again, Corona didn't kill more people than black violence, bro. Like, than black on black violence? No, Corona didn't even kill more people than that. And we're freaking out so bad over this. And I'm like, when they be like, another death has been confirmed, I'm like, and another black person has been killed right around the corner from me. On the next street over. Down the street. You know, like, consistently, we're keeping up. Like, literally, I feel like coronavirus and black on black crime has like a FaZe Clan fucking interstellar battle going on, and somebody's keeping kill counts, you know, like, you know, Corona kills somebody, which probably isn't, and then a black person kills somebody, like, oh, psh, you know, count my kill, bro, you know. I feel like they're doing that shit. With Corona, if you had any pre-existing issues or disorders, or, you know, they're going to count it, you know, anyway. So they're kind of cheating on their kill count. But Corona's cheating on its kill count. But, I don't know. But I done spent like an hour on this bullshit. But that's just my perspective of it, you know. My perspective is, humanity matters. One day humanity is not going to matter to nobody. It's going to be all these subcategories, you know, as you care more for straight and transgender and bisexual and LGBT alphabet community, they care less for straight individuals. How this is a transition for them, there's no support for that. You know, there's no support for my generation that used to be able to tell a joke and now you can't joke at all. You know, I look at how Eddie Murphy used to use the term faggot to actually talk about homosexuals, but he wasn't. They loved him. They loved him. They was like, oh yes, I love Eddie. You know, they loved Eddie. They loved his comedies. They knew he was a good person. They understood, like, hey, we just laughing. It's okay. And if they were mad at him, he'd be like, yeah, you know, hey, they mad at me, but you know, they can't stop looking at my ass. You know, and it's like there used to be this rule of don't take yourself so seriously. You know, don't take yourself so seriously in this life. Your life is not forever. You know, we're so fragile, bro. Our life spans are so fucking short. You really want to spend it telling other people how to live theirs? It just doesn't seem right. How I raise my kids is you can't control what the next person does. All you can do is control your life. If you spend your life looking into somebody else's yard, you'll miss all the shit that been clumped up in your yard that you could have taken care of. We have to start being accountable. Have to start reading into our own shit and stop telling other people how they should live their life. In my generation, gay people just wanted to be able to get a job and live like a normal couple and go out in public and have dinner like the rest of everybody else and be normal. And they were trying to fight for that right to just be a couple, and not be abused and bottles and cans thrown at them and beaten within inches of their life in public, and nobody cared. You know, the cops, if you were beating a gay guy and the cops caught you, the cops just, you know, well, you know how they are. They're sensitive, you know, like, back then it was different. Now there's all these luxuries and still pushing for more, and nobody's saying you can't have it, you know. Now I get it. They were having this thing of, you know, well, we want to have the right to get married. I guess it's from those who came from religious backgrounds that wanted to still hold to some of their religious traditions, but with their choice to choose whatever gender they wanted to marry. I could understand partially how that would happen, but it's unfortunate that within their own religion, they're forbidden, you know. So really, they were just looking for somebody who's willing to overlook that, you know. We pick and choose every day what part of the Bible we want to follow sometimes, you know. I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person. Non-denominational. What that means is, when you follow a religion, sometimes it's like, hey, no matter where this boat or this train is going, I'm on it. I'm on this ride. I'm going to believe everything that is going in this direction. Spirituality is like, every so often you get enlightenment and you're like, whoa, okay, everything I thought this meant doesn't mean this. So let me learn more. And you learn collectively from all kinds of cultures, and you learn collectively from all types of people and backgrounds, and you use it to bring upon holistic enlightenment, so to speak. Which is basically where, when people talk to me about their problems, things they've been through, things they felt, I listen to it and really take it in. And this is compiling into my own life's Bible. Look at it like, when the Bible was being compiled, the people who were in those times didn't understand that it was being compiled. They were just living their lives, and little did they know that their lives was being put into a compilation of other people's lives, and that their story was going to be told. by other people or to other people, and that this was going to be, these people probably made mistakes. They probably did a whole bunch of shit that they was like, that was being written. Oh my god, that was being written. Well, can we delete the browser history at least? Like so in your life, you're making your own Bible. Literally, whatever I do in my lifetime is a part of the Bible that people will remember. Some will speak on down the line, later down the line. If I was a mean, decrepit old hag and I really etched into somebody's life, like I really made that much of a difference in somebody's life, meaning I have either abused someone or I have wronged them to the point where they're like, I will never forget you. They're going to pass that to their children. They're going to pass that down, that knowledge, that hate. So we're living in our own Bibles right now, our own trials and tribulations, and we have to start kind of looking more into ourselves than into other people and trying to change other people. I don't have anything against LGBT community. I don't have anything against all these communities. But initially, when I'm raising my children, I am raising them heterosexually, because I'm also looking at if my son, let's say my son is gay. I have 2 other boys in this house now. Sometimes with homosexuality comes conviction. Sometimes they feel guilty for feeling how they feel. They haven't accepted how they feel. And they're not ready to be open about it. And it's just easier to blame other people. I do have to, make sure I worry about the safety of my kids, because initially, either way, I worry about the safety of my kids. I don't give a fuck if my kids are straight, gay, whatever. I don't let my little boys sleep in the room with my son. I don't, you know what I mean? I make sure my door is open if they're sleeping in the room with my daughter. It's all the same to me. Abuse can happen in many different forms. I don't think just because there's a female that abuse cannot happen. Abuse especially can happen with females, and nobody will know for years, and nobody may not ever know. I make sure I keep an eye on everything. My sons, if I could have turned my camera, my sons are both asleep on my bed. I do not get to sleep by myself very often, if at all. Because I just don't play about certain things. I don't take nothing for granted. I don't take no risks, no chances. Of course, you would like to say, hey, well, you gotta trust your kids. Kids will be kids. Yeah, but everybody has like a childhood moment where there's that one little gray line where something happened, and it's like, now that I've grown up, I realize that's not right. Everybody's had that happen. At least once, Every kid has had a little gay moment where you were like, hey, stop dry humping each other, bro. Everybody's had those moments, and a lot of the times it's just because they're developing feelings down there and it feels good, and they're like, they don't look at it like, oh, I'm into this boy, look how sexy he looks. They're just like, hey, shit, I'm humping this and it feels really good. I'm gonna hump everything. They're gonna hump their teddy bears and their toys and their dolls and the chair. Dogs do it all the time, and we don't think, oh, it's a serial rapist dog. Just, you monitor, you don't freak out. If you freak out, it'll put conviction in them, and when conviction happens, they will feel guilty about feeling any pleasure. And when you feel guilty about feeling pleasure, we like to feel pleasure. Our bodies love to feel pleasure. We're not going to live a pleasureless life. So what will happen is they will sneak and feel other kinds of pleasure, and you don't want them to feel the wrong ones. I'd rather not freak out, explain to them what they're feeling, explain to them, hey, we're not ready for these feelings yet. This is how we're doing things. This is inappropriate for this situation. And keep watch over it. Make sure I nip it in the butt every single time, if that's the case. And then you're fine. You're fine. So, like I said, I'm raising heterosexual children. But this doesn't mean that when my kids are old enough to make those life decisions, my daughter, she always hints at, You know, my daughters always hint at deciding to be lesbian, and that may be that they're gonna say that. You know what I mean? They're gonna say that because all their friends are literally, they say it because of their friends. Their friends are like, I'm bi, and these girls are confusing my daughters. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense. Hi, Barry. So like, if it makes any sense, like, okay, my daughters, like, when they go to school, they have their friends, and their friends, you know, do things like, oh, I'm gonna play in your hair, oh, I'm gonna put makeup on you, oh, you know, let's wear the same outfit or whatever, which is all normal girl stuff. But then the girl will be like, oh, you know, so I'm bisexual, and my daughter's like, okay, you know, so now my daughter has associated, oh, if I want to do these things, that I must be bisexual. And I don't correct it. I don't go in there and put my hands on it and be like, hey, you're gonna be fucking straight, you know. I'm not freaking out. I know for a fact how girls, young minds work. They just want, oh, I don't know, bro. I don't know. Um, they just want affection and attention, and if somebody's giving them that affection and says, hey, but I'm, you know, I'm gay or I'm bisexual, then she thinks, okay, so I must be this to continuously get this affection and attention. And so I know that her world is small right now. Her world is consisting of just school and home, a few places in between. I understand that when she gets around more people, she'll understand there's different levels of affection, different types of affection. She's never received the kind of affection from a male yet, so she hasn't seen like what it's like to have male female chemistry and all that stuff. So I don't want to freak her out and make her feel like, you know, guilty for something she's not even etched in stone yet. Sometimes kids say things before they even experience things. It's life, you know, it happens. So the worst thing you can do is freak them out. If you keep telling them you can't do it, then they're going to go right to it, and they're going to then put it on the side with forbidden love. He said, why are black people being so childish? When you say childish, I could almost guarantee you're talking about the situation where, well, I can't guarantee you're talking about the situation, but I'm guessing you could be talking about situations where black people are rioting and they're stealing shit and they're dragging people out of cars and they're beating them. That shit is just ignorance. They're doing the angry black man shit. I can't stand that when they do the whole, you know, I'm angry, so I gotta take it out on somebody. Oh, like, really? You know, like, so you're gonna take it out? You know, I was watching this news, and I don't even like watching the news. And there was this lady, she was just crying her heart out because they had destroyed her business. And I'm just like, bro, like, I wanted to cry with her. Like, I ain't even lie, my eyes were getting a little watery because she was just crying so hard. And I was just like, bro, this ain't the way, bro. What the fuck are y'all doing? The crazy thing is, it's a lot of white people doing the peaceful protest. And then you see the black people that's lashing out. And I'm going to need white people to stop being okay with that. You know what I mean? Those same white people that are saying, hey, let's do a peaceful protest, should not be the same white people that when a black person lash out, they're like, yeah, it's because he's angry, man. It's like, no, nigga, what you mean? No. Those people should have the balls to say, hey, guys. Okay, what happened to this man was wrong. We're going to march peacefully for that. But this shit you doing right here, that's not working. That's not going to be good. They're afraid to say something because they know, bro, that black train, when you're going to get hit with that black train. The black train is when black people are angry and they start taking shit out on random ass shit. And if you're on the rails, they don't give a fuck what you are. You finna get hit. They don't hit the brakes in time, bro. They don't want to be on that other end of that train, so they're giving these excuses. And I'm like, okay, if you're so supportive of this person destroying shit, why ain't you doing it? Oh, you don't want to go to jail. But I thought white people don't go to jail. Interesting. So you're afraid of going to jail? Hmm. Hmm. They don't talk about the sexual abuse in prisons. They don't talk about how many female prisoners have been pregnant by the guards. They don't talk about the free labor, why they have to keep throwing everybody in jail so that they can get the free labor so they don't have to pay city workers. They don't talk about that. That was one of Martin Luther King's speeches somewhere in there. That was one of his speeches. That ain't talked about. In all actuality, Martin Luther King didn't take too many ass whoopings. I'm gonna be honest with you. I told y'all I don't go by the usual, but I don't celebrate Black History Month. We get a whole month to be proud. We should be proud every day. Um, White people should be able to be proud of their lineage. And people are gonna say, "Oh, what are they proud of? Slaving us, bro? Come on." They have done a lot of good shit that you don't even know about. Because you know why? Because if they say, hey, we invented, this thing that helped somebody, Black people are going to say, and then you gave us AIDS and put crack in our neighborhoods. It's like, they can never be proud. They can never be proud. Let there be White History Month. Let there be White History Day, bro. You know how many people will be outraged? In schools. They showed Roots when I was younger. In school, they showed Roots. And by the end of Roots, they had all these white kids, coming to us like, you know, damn, bro, I'm sorry, man. Like, I didn't know we did that. And I'm like, you ain't do shit to me. We good. And they're just like, yeah, but like, I guess my grandparents did it. I'm like, you don't know what your grandparents did. I don't know what my grandparents did. I mean, if we're gonna do that, I mean, basically, why are you sorry? We're friends. Like, we hang out together. We eat lunch together. Like, why are you sorry? Violence, all this breaking into shit and destroying shit, that's not the way. We gonna do all this shit at a time when we're trying to say we don't deserve to be abused. But what would your reaction be? If you're a cop and you're a black cop and you see a black person dragging a man, we ain't gonna put no race on this man. He dragging a man out of a car and he's finna stomp him. Like, what would you do? Would you be like, that's a black person doing it, so it's okay? Or would you be like, hey, bro, you're gonna have to not do that shit? And then you try to get him off of there, and then he start fighting and resisting. What you finna do? Finna probably fight back, right? Like, I don't know. I just try to look at both sides. But I'm getting ready to end this because I'll end up talking in circles. And we'll go ahead and get to I'm gonna get on the game with Krogan and try to have some free time, some fun time in before the kids really get up and moving. So I'm gonna stream it while I'm at it so that I can at least, have made some progress. But I'm glad everybody decided to join me in this talk. Everybody's opinion is appreciated. I get my opinion, and my state of mind is not for everyone. I get that I have a very different perspective, but I am a black person. You know what I mean? Like, I should be able to say, I don't fight the same battle because I didn't grow up in that world. I feel like the people who are fighting the battle of race should be the people who have that fight every day. I don't have that fight. So me talking about how I'm oppressed when I've never been oppressed. Me talking about how I can't get good jobs and I can't, get resources and I can't and cops are abusing me and I've never been abused, Cops have saved my life so many times. I guess I'll end it on this story. Years ago, I was in Marietta, Georgia, and um, two things happened. One, I had completely ran out of money, and I had all three of the older kids with me, and they were at the time um, like 6 months, 1 year, or 11 months. Like, so 6 months, 11 months, and like 2 years old. And I was in Marietta, and we ran out of money. I did not have any diapers. I ran completely out of diapers, and I had contacted my sister and asked her if she could send me. At the time, the Parents' Choice diapers were $12 at Walmart, and you got a case of them. So that was like a good price. So I asked her if she could send me, you know, $15, and so I could get diapers. She said, yeah, I'll send it. But then for the whole day, she stalled and stalled and stalled and didn't, you know. Then she waits until like 30 minutes before Western Union is getting ready to close. And she's like, you know, I don't think me sending this money is going to really help you. I think you need to do better with your finances. I think blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, but you wasted my whole day. I could have tried to. I'm thinking you're going to help me. I could have found somebody else that could help me. You've wasted this whole day. And they, you know, at the time I had them sitting in the bathtub because I didn't have any money, and none of them were potty trained. So she was like, well, I'll, you know, call Dad and see if he'll send you money. Western Union ended up closing, and I remember sitting on the bed, and I was just thinking, like, I can't be a good mother. Like, I'm not a good mother. I can't afford to take care of them. I can't afford diapers. I can't afford to, you know, give them what they need. And I was like, I'm not a good parent. There's got to be other parents that are better than me. At the time, I was like 17 or 18. I was like either 17 or 18, and I was just like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I didn't know what being a parent was. I didn't know how to make things work. It wasn't a gradual thing. It just kind of hit all at once. And so I called the cops. And they sent out this white police officer. I remember he had this weird cut and had, you know, glasses on. And he's like, so what's going on? I remember I was sitting out in the parking lot with all three of them with their diaper bags packed, and I was just like, I can't take care of them. I can't. I don't know when I'm gonna have the money. I don't have a job. All these places with resources are telling me you're gonna have to come to us, and you're gonna have to fill out applications, and if we have anything, then we'll give it to you. And I didn't have a car. I didn't have transportation. I didn't have money for a bus. I didn't have shit. And he was just like, you know, I know it's hard, but trust me, this would be a huge mistake. But you won't. He was like, if you're a good person, I feel you're a good person. You're not gonna be able to live with yourself past this. He was like, you know, you never want to give up a life, or in this case 3 lives, because of financial issues. Because he said you don't know what tomorrow could bring. Tomorrow, you know, you just never know until you survive today. He said tomorrow something could happen for you, a breakthrough could happen, and it would really hurt your heart because you're making a semi-permanent decision. Once you say that you have to give up your kids because you don't feel like you're a good parent, you can't just easily unsay that, because they're going to say, well, what could have pushed you to that limit today that couldn't have been changed tomorrow, and what could have changed tomorrow that couldn't have changed yesterday? And, you know, I feel like you're a good person. I just feel like you just need help. So he went in his wallet and he walked me in the store in his uniform, and he bought my baby a can of milk. He bought diapers. And sorry, it's really emotional. it's like he had more faith in me than my own kind, you know. My own kind would tell me what I couldn't do, what I couldn't be, and, you know, criticize me every step of the way for trying to be a mom. And I didn't know what being a mom was, bro. Like, I was still a teenager that was, you know, I was still, I don't know who that is, but I was still a teenager trying to, you know, make it. And, like, I was barely able to care for myself, really. And it was like the fact that this person, saw good in me, and he, you know, and he didn't feel no shame about it. He didn't, you could tell, you know, like, he did that with his heart. Like, he, like, because of his shamelessness, I didn't feel any shame for him helping me. You know, we're taught to just put our head down when we need helping. All this talk about, you know, white people ain't doing this and white people ain't doing that. I can tell you now that has not been my experience. Like, that hasn't been my experience. You know, like, when I was homeless on Cape Cod and I was sitting in the McDonald's, and, like, I remember it was a lady who, she had like a mental tick. Like, every time the seatbelt would click, she would do this, you know? And it's because her ex-husband, who was abusive, one time when she clicked her seatbelt, she was trying to get away from him. He was in the car behind her and he slit her throat. This lady, she recognized that I had nowhere to go. And she didn't see race. She didn't think, you know, oh, this black person might hurt me, so I can't help her. She offered to buy me coffee, and I didn't drink coffee, but I drank it that day. She bought me a sandwich, and she literally rode around with me for a while to help me see if there was any motels that would take me in. And she took me to the shelters that she knew, which was only one. Everybody knows there's only one shelter on Cape. It's a wet shelter, so the druggies go there. You know, the sheets and blankets got piss and shit on it. You know, it's she took me there, and she really hated to leave me there, but she did what was in her comfort zone to do. And that's blind kindness. She didn't see color. She saw that this woman has nowhere to stay. But likewise, on Cape Cod, there was a group of Jamaican guys who seen me walking. I was like zombified. I literally was so tired. I had been walking. I was freezing. I had just came from Georgia. And the friends that I was supposed to be staying with just went to Florida and never told me. And so I'm like walking, and I had walked all night to the point where I'm like sleep when I'm walking, and they noticed that something wasn't right, and they pulled over, and they could have did anything to me, you know. They could have did anything to me, but instead they put me in their Hummer, and he took me to his wife's house. And his wife, she gave me her perfume and her clothes, you know. She didn't feel she was competing with me. Her husband stayed over his friend's house that night so as not to freak me out. And he said he would call when he was on his way in the morning. And it's like, if you've ever seen kindness so blind, you know, those moments when people just help you to the point where you forget all about race. You know, you forget it even exists sometimes because of their kindness. With that cop buying my baby diapers and milk, he helped me, and he didn't ask for nothing in return. I understand that's not everybody's experience. I understand that some people really have terrible, traumatizing experiences. And I do also consider the fact that I wasn't being ratchet and ghetto. I wasn't out there. I don't smoke or drink. Like, I don't, you know. So he probably did see that I was trying to help myself, and I just didn't have enough support with that. Um, So the dynamics were different, you know. I wasn't really caught doing nothing, you know. But we just got to care about humanity. And I've seen the kindness of it, you know. I've seen where I was being mistreated at a job, and oh my God. You know, one time I was in a vehicle and my friend was speeding, and they accidentally hit somebody's car. It was kind of more or less, okay, they were speeding, they slowed down, we were at a stoplight. The person in front of us had started to move before the light actually changed back, so then they bumped their car. The person driving freaked out and started driving like fast and high speed, and I'm like, bro, just chill, just relax, just pull over, it's okay. But then there was another car chasing us, right? Now mind you, I'm black, the person that was driving was Hispanic. There was another car chasing us down, trying to get us to pull over and all that. He's not a cop, by the way. We lost them eventually, and then I said, hey, you know, let's not run, let's go to the police station. You never know, like, you just never know how this may turn out. I'm just saying, I think the right thing to do is go to the police station. He was like, okay, well, let's just have a drink, and then we're gonna go to the police station. I'm like, that's literally the worst idea. Let's not have a drink, and let's just go to the police station. So he's like, well, I'm gonna need a Sprite or something, bro, because I'm freaked out. I'm like, okay, let's get a Sprite, and then we go to the police station. So we got a Sprite, we went to the police station. The police officer, of course, he was like, well, the guy told the officers what he did, and officers like, oh, okay, yeah, somebody had called in and gave us your license plate number. I mean, it's a good thing you came in. You need to call us for accidents. You're just supposed to exchange insurance information. So what we can do is, I'm gonna go out to your car. If you don't mind, could I check your car just to make sure that you weren't drinking, and check you, make sure you're not drinking, and then you could just, you know, give me your insurance information, and then I can forward it to the person that reported, you know. And it was easy breezy and over. It was nothing, you know. I've been pulled over for driving too slow. I've been pulled over for, you know, and they were like, you know how, you know why I pulled you over? I'm like, I have no freaking idea, and I'm automatically scared. And they're like, you know, well, you're driving 15 and a 40, and we were just wondering if you were, you know. Um, so I can't. But also, because I can't speak from that experience, I can speak for what it's like when race doesn't matter, and culture doesn't matter, and denomination doesn't matter, and creed doesn't matter, religion doesn't matter. When they do nice, when someone does nice or does good for you because of humanity, when someone, you know, stands up for you because they felt that that human being should not be mistreated. I felt what that's like. I grew up with that, and I believe in that. I believe we could one day get to that. So, you know, we'll get to it one day. Until then, I'm gonna get off here and pester Krogan with my shenanigans. Krogan, I am getting ready to. Did they add anything new to Predator? I wonder. I did see an update. I didn't know what it was. It might be just bugs and fixes though. So there could be that. There could be that. We could play that. I haven't really played it in a while, so I'm probably gonna be all potato mash. But we could play that, and otherwise, I think I'm done here. Thanks for joining, everyone. Thanks for sharing, talking. We gotta do more talks like this, you know. Alright, see you guys.